Father, what's wrong?
I don't know, Raditz. I'm having a weird sense of deja mustard right now.
What's up everybody, StevDez here, and welcome to another edition of Dragon Ball Days. Yeah, I got it this time. For those of you tuning in, this is just as this is about to premiere, so keep in mind that I am present at a lot of the Dragon Ball Day premieres, which brings up another thing. The month of May is going to be Goku month. I understand that Goku Day is going to be May 9th, so as is normal on this channel, where we like to extend certain holidays, this is going to be one of those things. Considering I do Dragon Ball Days on Wednesdays, you're going to get Dragon Ball Days every day that I do a What If. So tune into a lot of those, huh? Also, tune into the premieres, because I try to schedule them so I can be there and watch alongside with all of you. And those of you that'll be here for this half-hour-long video, now you know what took me so long. And now you know why Professor Dez is going to get his own segment. I don't know, I may take just a quick hour or so to split the two into two separate videos, let that be his pilot. I don't know, but let's get back to someone who really needs a lot more character development. Everyone's favorite Saiyan grandpa, Bardock. When it comes down to where the heart virus came from, I pushed this vote and urged all of you to take a look at this timeline and really make that vote count. And by a narrow margin, the virus will be spaceborne. How might this change the story of everyone's favorite Saiyan daddy who never was? Well, let's go ahead and recap and get into that. In the last one, with the best Son family reunion ever to grace Dragon Ball, Gine came back for a day, and Raditz's betrothed Miguel was announced to be pregnant. Not only that, but since she was already pregnant with Videl, future Videl got to be around everybody and, mingle, meet her mom for the first time, and get some training in with her dad. With future Videl's insight to the whole situation, she did give Goku the heart medication. Kakarot the heart medication, and told him that if Gohan's going to survive, he needs to be a Super Saiyan as well. Suffice it to say, it doesn't pan out like that because Gohan's too happy most of the time. He hasn't really suffered any sort of loss or hasn't really been able to associate with that. Hasn't really let his rage go. But we do have two more Super Saiyans in this timeline, Bardock and Raditz. However, that doesn't mean the lad is useless per se. Gohan has been able to keep up with Mr. Piccolo, and they've grown a somewhat meaningful friendship over this time. So, over the course of this time skip, things have actually been going pretty well. For now, we go to Kakarot and Bulma, recruiting the Z-Fighters and letting them know that the Red Ribbon Army hasn't exactly been squashed. There is one thing that has survived this dramatic timeline gap situation, and that is the destruction of Gero's bugs. The latest power level they were able to grasp onto was Vegeta in his grade 8 form. While it isn't very impressive in comparison to Super Saiyan, it is, in fact, a leap and bound that the Z-Fighters have not been able to grasp quite yet. Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Chaozu, even Piccolo, they're all sort of in a way when it comes down to fighting anything that could mimic that power level. So, suffice it to say, anything around that power level, the humans are going to be outmatched, and so is Gohan and Piccolo in this case. Piccolo doesn't have Nail.
Nope.
The Namek Saga didn't happen. So, even though they are coming up leaps and bounds, they're unfortunately not holding a candle to the kind of power Vegeta showed. However, there is a good thing about this. Yamcha wouldn't even be worth the hole in his chest.
Nope.
He would just be beaten aside, knocked into a building, and therefore out for the count. As far as Kakarot's concerned, well, no heart virus this time.
Nope.
With no heart virus, 19 doesn't get the edge that he normally would have, and Kakarot's just fine. Therefore, Kakarot is part of the group trying to chase down Gero. Gero, yeah, is still able to get away from everyone, but he's far more clever than the rest of them could give him credit for, and since he's an android, there's really no sensing his energy. Things would progress normally up until the energy drain hug, where, instead of Piccolo, Raditz is the recipient. He is saved by Piccolo, though, and that's where Dr. Gero springs his trap. For you see, even though the flies died when Goku went Super Saiyan, or sometime before that, since they don't have any data of Super Saiyan, he was able to recover something from the scene at the city, or where Nappa died. It doesn't matter, they're still gonna recover something. Thanks to a couple of drones he had at his disposal, he's able to pick up a small capsule-like object with 6 little round green balls and a small vial of liquid beside it. By experimenting with them, he's able to properly deduce a good way to use these creatures in combat. Therefore, out of the ground underneath everybody, the enhanced android Cybermen start growing out of the ground.
We are Biomen! What? Cybermen? Oh, that's much cooler than the name I came up with them. Cybermen. Yes, but instead they are android Cybermen. We are Biomen! Yes. Cybermen, attack!
The Cybermen attack, and because they're android Cybermen, they are much more powerful than, unfortunately, typical Cybermen are. Piccolo is having a tough time with it, and it takes the likes of the Super Saiyans to make a dent in these creatures. Naturally, Yamcha gets Yamcha'd. We still get that pose. Gero, being the clever tactician he is, ends up watching the battle and picking the right opportunity to gain his revenge forthwith.
Cybermen, defend!
Gero rushes in and gives Kakarot a drain hug. Unfortunately, the Cybermen are making it very, very difficult for anybody, even the 2 Super Saiyans, to get through and get him off of Kakarot. That's when Krillin uses a solar flare to disorient the Cybermen, and Raditz goes in for the first kill.
Ha! Ha ha ha! First blood! What the?
Unfortunately, Raditz gets a rude surprise because the body of the Cyberman he just chopped in half ends up exploding in his face.
What the hell was that? They're little exploding martyrs. Tien, catch!
Tien, who was able to make his way around and try to beat on Gero, who's a little too tanky for the human, ends up catching a Cyberman, snapping its neck, and holding it against Gero's back, using the afterimage technique to get out of there before the explosion happens. Sure enough, this does work. And unfortunately, Gero has to retreat, wounded. How do you like that? Chaozu isn't the one that had to suicide bomb against the enemy, it was the enemy's own Cyberman. Krillin and Gohan take Kakarot home, while Tien, Piccolo, Bardock, and Raditz stay and fight the Cybermen off. By the time the Cybermen are killed, the explosion has made enough dust for Gero to get away and try to find his lab. There is a good thing about this though. Bulma's ship doesn't get shot down. In fact, it has one more person in it, Future Videl. Future Videl actually came with Bulma, and thanks to Bulma knowing who Gero is, they end up finding out, you know, the little tidbit that the Red Ribbon Professor is a lab around here somewhere. With that bit of knowledge, they split up and look, and just like in the anime, Krillin's able to find it and call to everybody else that Gero went in there. By this point though, Gero is wounded, and you have 2 brutish Saiyans who know how to take a door down. When that door opens, Gero is talking to 17, and as soon as she sees the face of 17, Videl snaps, turning Super Saiyan and blasting the androids with all of her power. All of her power being a little bit too much because it makes the lab start crumbling down on top of everybody. Tien and Krillin are barely able to make it out of there, and thanks to the blast, unfortunately, Gero is buried in the lab rubble. We do see 17 kind of freak out here. His sister is buried under all of that, so he's trying to get the rubble off, trying to find his sister's pod, when Videl comes in with a kick in order to run interference. Bardock and Raditz rush in, Bardock telling the rest of them to start looking for 18's pod so they can deal with the problem outright. Bardock stays with the searching group until he notices that Raditz and Videl are losing ground against 17, and he has to jump in. Tien and Piccolo do look around, and Piccolo comes across the extremely wounded Dr. Gero. He holds up a blast, charging it in the middle of his hand, when the doctor interrupts him, using that silver tongue of his.
Give me one good reason why I shouldn't end your life right now.
You see, all of this could have been avoided if you had just waited for a little bit longer. Behind my back, before your friend decided to blast it, was a remote to shut off 17. I may have the technology to rebuild such a remote if you would spare my life.
I don't get it. Why would you need such a remote?
You see, 17 and 18, they are bigger risks than you can imagine. Controlling them, well, that is what the remote was for. And then your friend had to destroy my only leash I had for the two. Without it, well, you see what's happening above us. 17 is handling 3 of your Super Saiyans just fine on his own. They are my problem just as much as they are your problem, Green Man.
So what do you want? A truce?
A very temporary truce, Piccolo. Otherwise, I guarantee you will be next. And then me.
Piccolo contemplates this and realizes that, unfortunately, Gero might be right, and future Videl, with her power, she can't hold a candle to these androids. Maybe the doctor that made them is their best bet in this situation. He's too wounded to do anything right now, so why not? Piccolo makes the difficult decision to help Gero to his feet. He calls Tien over, and the good doctor ends up telling them that they can't retreat empty-handed. He's got to have something. So, what do they do next? You tell me by voting in that poll above. What do they leave Dr. Gero's lab with? Leaving with Dr. Gero is already a given, so let's just assume that's par for the course for all the choices that you have in that poll. So it's up to you for the next part. What is Piccolo and Tien going to do with Dr. Gero? Go ahead and leave a comment below. For more what-ifs in the realm of video gaming and Dragon Ball alike, such as if little Kakarot ended up landing in the backyard of Capsule Corp of all places, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!